the work of Bernard Fung in my lab told us that a crucial player in visual transduction was a guanylyl nucleotide binding protein. And so we then set out to purify the protein. Bernard was very good at this, and in short order found a protein that had 3 subunits, alpha, beta, and gamma, and that this was indeed the guanylyl nucleotide binding protein. It's what we call today transducin because it plays a key role in the transduction process. So having this protein enabled us to plan a series of experiments to see whether it played a key role in vision. Our hypothesis was that the flow of information is from photoexcited rhodopsin to this guanylyl nucleotide binding protein, now known as transducin, to the phosphodiesterase. And so it's a very precise prediction, and it makes 2 sub-predictions. The first is that photoexcited rhodopsin should be able to catalyze, to trigger the activation of transducin in the absence of the phosphodiesterase. And the second prediction is that transducin should be able, when it's in the GTP form, should be able to activate the phosphodiesterase in the absence of photoexcited rhodopsin. Bernard Fung was joined by Jim Hurley, another very talented postdoctoral fellow, and they worked very closely together. And they tested the first prediction: can photoexcited rhodopsin trigger GTP-GDP exchange in transducin without the phosphodiesterase being around? And so what was prepared were reconstituted membranes that had only the phospholipid of the membrane. They had rhodopsin, and transducin was added. And so here we have membranes, phospholipid membranes containing rhodopsin. We add transducin, we shine light in a controlled way, and what we found was, in fact, GTP went in, GDP came out. We observed that a single photoexcited rhodopsin led to the exchange of 71 molecules of GTP for GDP. So the first part of our proposed flow of information was tested in this experiment and validated. Now, we then wanted to see whether transducin in the GTP state could activate the phosphodiesterase with no, in the dark, with no photoexcited rhodopsin present. And so the first step was to purify transducin bearing the non-hydrolyzable analog of GTP so that we could keep it in the GTP state. And we encountered a very pleasant surprise during the purification process. Instead of seeing the radioactivity come out with the 3 subunits altogether, alpha, beta, and gamma of transducin altogether, what we found was that having transducin in the GTP state, in the presumably active state, led to the dissociation of the alpha subunit of transducin from beta and gamma. So we were able to pose a more precise question than we had originally planned. Namely, Is it the alpha subunit of transducin with its bound GTP analog? Can that complex activate the phosphodiesterase? And we were so excited and thrilled to find that the alpha subunit bearing the GTP analog led to the full activation of the phosphodiesterase. You know, this was one of the wonderful moments. You know, it works beautifully. You've suddenly seen how a piece of nature works. It happens so rarely in science, and it's truly a moment to treasure. And I don't think we pulled out the champagne, but we were certainly very, very happy when we found that the information carrying intermediate is the alpha subunit of transducin bearing GTP. I think of the very lovely writing of William Rushton, an English physiologist who worked on vision. He said, molecules respond to light as do people to music. Some absorb nothing. Some respond by the degraded vibration of foot or finger. But some there are who rise and dance and change partners. And so suddenly we saw the molecular choreography. We saw what photoexcited rhodopsin interacting with transducin, sending the alpha subunit onto the phosphodiesterase. And suddenly, you know, the molecular ballet of vision opened up to us. And that was a thrilling moment, a great moment.